From KGW News, this is Straight Talk with Laurel Porter.
Hello and welcome to Straight Talk. I'm Laurel Porter. As we look ahead to 2025 and the beginning of a new administration and a new Congress, Oregon's longest-serving representative in the U.S. House will not be returning. After 50-plus years of public service, including in the Oregon State Legislature, on the Multnomah County Commission, as a member of Portland City Council, and nearly 3 decades representing Oregon's 3rd Congressional District, Congressman Earl Blumenauer is retiring. He's known for his colorful bicycle pins that reflect his passion and advocacy for climate and transportation issues. As a senior member of the powerful Tax Writing Ways and Means Committee, he helped craft the Inflation Reduction Act, which is credited with making the single largest investment in addressing climate change in the nation's history. In praising Blumenauer when he announced his retirement, the House Minority Leader, Hakeem Jeffrey, said, "Blumenauer has been a fierce protector of public lands, a staunch advocate for cannabis reform, and a champion for livable communities where every family can thrive." Perhaps most memorably, as the founder of the Congressional Bike Caucus, Blumenauer turned his passion for cycling into a movement for safer streets in Washington, D.C., in Portland, and beyond. Here to look back on his many years of service, his accomplishments, his views on Congress today, and what's next, I'm pleased to welcome my guest, Oregon Congressman Earl Blumenauer. Welcome back to Straight Talk. It's nice to have you here.
It's great to be here.
Well, the 119th Congress will be sworn in soon, and for the first time in 28 years, you're not going to be there. How are you feeling right now about saying goodbye to Congress and starting this new chapter?
Well, as you know, we made a decision last October that it didn't make sense to spend 2 years campaigning to get elected for 2 more years to a dysfunctional Congress. I really felt then, and I feel even more strongly now, that I can have as much productivity as a civilian, and I'm looking forward to that new phase.
You've said it's important to know when it's time to walk away. How did you know it was time for you to walk away?
Well, it has been, as you point out, it's over 50 years of full-time public service. But more to the point here was just, it was increasingly frustrating and difficult to be able to work in that environment. It's mindlessly partisan. The efforts to try and actually deal with substantive issues got harder and harder. One of the things that is important in this business is to know when to move on. There are lots of opportunities for bright young people. I've been working, as you know, for years to try and promote them. The woman who's going to take my place, Maxine Dexter, is going to be an all-star, adding energy and can build a long-term relationship with this district. It seemed right politically, personally, to be able to step aside after arguably the most productive 28 months that I've ever had. I'd like to quit at the top of my game rather than people thinking, you know, when is this guy going to move on?
Timing's everything, for sure. You have had a very impressive career, and we dug into our KGW archives, and it's priceless. Let's take a look. The year is 1969. That's 21-year-old Earl Blumenauer talking to KGW.
Well, we've already been conducting a rather vigorous effort to organize chapters on.
He was leading the movement in Oregon to lower the voting age to 19. Like so many in the nation, then Citizen Blumenauer felt younger people needed a voice.
Once again, are you going to win in Oregon? We surely think so.
One of the bills passed by the House today extends property tax exemptions to religious groups.
4 short years later, in 1973, Earl Blumenauer stepped into his first elected position to the Oregon House.
Representative Earl Blumenauer, also of Portland, supported it.
And this language, I think, clarifies the intent that if they are used solely for these purposes, they are to be exempt.
For the next 52 years, Earl Blumenauer would serve his community. First in the state legislature, then as Multnomah County Commissioner.
I'm Sam Thomas at the Sheraton Lloyd Center with Earl Blumenauer. The latest figures show Blumenauer ahead with 52% of the vote over Alice Corbett, the incumbent. Are you happy about that?
Yes, ecstatic.
a position he held for 8 years.
Earl Blumenauer, the former Multnomah County Commissioner, is running unopposed in this election.
Then, in 1986, he took on a role at Portland City Commission. So eager to start work, he asked for an office at City Hall early. Through the years,
and we would like to welcome back Portland City Commissioner Earl Blumenauer.
KGW viewers would see Earl Blumenauer join us on many election nights, helping us make sense of the changes voters would usher in every few years.
But it worked out all right, and I want to express my appreciation.
Then, in 1996, in a special election, the voters ushered him to a seat in the U.S. House to represent Oregon's 3rd District.
Earl Blumenauer is now speaking, so we want to listen in.
The public has heard, they've responded, it's making a difference.
And he has made a difference. He would be reelected a dozen times, serving until he announced his retirement early in 2024.
When is your final day as a U.S. representative?
It's the 2nd of January.
Legislator, commissioner twice, and U.S. congressman for nearly 3 decades. Earl Blumenauer always felt his call was to serve his community.
As you know, I've spent a lifetime working on livable communities. And I'm proud of what we did.
Which will bring him, in retirement, back home to the city where he started his work half a century ago, to help shape the next chapter in Portland's future, but this time as a private citizen. Wow, what an amazing career. How does it feel to look back on all that footage?
Whoa, lots of memories.
Yeah, I know. Is it emotional for you?
It's time. I mean, it's just, I feel very comfortable with the decision to move. I feel very gratified with the responses we've received for people from all over the country. It's the right thing. It's the right thing to do.
Well, before we talk about your future, which we'll do in a few minutes, let's go back a little bit to, you were only in your 20s when you were elected to the Oregon legislature. That was during the last years of Tom McCall's governorship. And for people who don't know, Tom McCall was an investigative reporter here at KGW. Before he went into politics, he did a powerful piece called Pollution in Paradise you can watch on KGW's YouTube channel. But what was it like those early years in the Oregon legislature?
It was a time of tremendous opportunity. Young people had a chance to be very instrumental in the legislature. We had leadership positions, being able to take major policy positions, getting legislation passed. It was an air of excitement and possibilities. And this is when we did Senate Bill 100, major tax changes, transportation, environment. The excitement was palpable.
And then you were on Portland City Council, Commissioner of Public Works, the Transportation Commissioner. How consequential do you think those years were for Portland?
Well, those 10 years, I think, were very significant. We did major initiatives dealing with housing, transportation, land use. Portland navigated some difficult times. We had gang issues. We had problems dealing with housing and path-breaking transportation policies. We got a light rail network in place. We had the first modern streetcar. I mean, those were things that developed into national models. And I'm really pleased to have played a role in it and watch Portland lead the pack.
Your North Star has always been livable communities, and you took that with you to Congress when you were elected in a special election in 1996 to replace Ron Wyden, who became senator. And your signatures, your bow ties, which you made sure I know they're hand tied and they're beautiful, and your bicycle pins, and I wore my bicycle pin today in your honor. You even have a bridge named after you in Portland, the Earl Blumenauer Bicycle and Pedestrian Bridge, which connects the Lloyd District neighborhood to the East Central side. How does it feel? I mean, that's such an honor to have a bridge named after you.
Well, it is exciting to watch what we've done in Portland to try and promote livable communities and make it easier for people to burn calories instead of fossil fuel. We've been a national model. It's made a difference. We're working now dealing with safety, which in the era of the pandemic has been an epidemic of traffic injuries and deaths. But we've got the policy framework here. We've got a great crew at the city, and I think we'll continue to be a national leader.
What do you think is your biggest achievement when it comes to transportation?
What's your favorite restaurant in Portland? I would like to think that being able to engage citizens in problem solving, whether it's congestion, bicycles, transit, dealing with the problems of the neighborhood, that we made them full partners. I'm really excited with the path-breaking developments that we were able to promote that have taken off around the country. And it was as a result of the partnership we had with citizens here. As I look back over half a century, the things that I'm most proud of are ones that we did together with the citizens, whether it's taking care of refugees from Iraq and Afghanistan, dealing with restaurant recovery, 100,000 grants to help keep restaurants navigate through the pandemic. These are all things that were developed here with the citizens, and it's an exciting partnership.
And then when you went to Congress, you started the Bicycle Caucus in 1996, which has grown to at least 130 members. You never had a car in DC. You drove you rode your bike everywhere. You rode it to work. What's it been like to watch that caucus grow, and is it hard to leave it?
No, we have some great people who are taking over for me. One of my colleagues, Mike Thompson, is an avid cyclist, and he's going to chair that. But we've been able to establish a framework, build momentum. We've reshaped the way Washington, D.C. looks. I'm so proud of the bike lanes down the middle of Pennsylvania Avenue. And it is not going to be the same. It really makes a difference for people, and I'm really proud of watching this take hold in communities across the country.
One of the things I know you're really proud of is your work on the cannabis issue. You are known as the champion of cannabis reform, which you started as a freshman lawmaker when you went to Congress at the time that Oregon was the first state to decriminalize small amounts of marijuana. There's been a lot of progress on statewide legalization, but the federal government still classifies marijuana as a Class 1 scheduled drug. Do you think that is going to change anytime soon?
Oh, it will change. The federal government is the last player. We've been able to make amazing progress state by state, working with voters. I've been proud to be involved with every single state reform effort, but the federal government hasn't caught up. And they've been caught in this misguided war on drugs. We now know from the records of the Nixon administration, it had nothing to do with marijuana. What it had to do was trying to demonize young black people, driving wedges, using it as an issue, which is unfortunate, and we're still suffering from it. We've had hundreds of thousands of young black men who were subject to prosecution that was disproportionate for political purposes, and that's really unfortunate.
Because you've told me you're not a cannabis user, you never have been. Where does that passion come from for cannabis reform?
Because it's unfair to treat people who want to use it in a way that's disproportionate. It's unfair to have draconian penalties. It's unfair to deny people the therapeutic benefits of medical cannabis, and the fact that if we were able to legalize it, it would provide a gusher of tax revenue and economic development. It made no sense then. It makes less sense now. Sooner or later, the federal government's going to catch up with the rest of America. We've now seen that 3/4 of the American public thinks that cannabis should be fully legal.
Talking about the way forward for Democrats, we had on Representative Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez on the show a couple of weeks ago, and she is a Democrat who, one of only 3 in the House that won in a red leading district that Trump also won. And I asked her about the way forward, and by the way, she says you've been a great example to her and a great mentor to her. But she said that she thought that that Congress needs to recruit more people like her who are working class, who talk about kitchen table issues. What do you think?
Absolutely. We don't need more think tank refugees populating the Congress from both parties. The more that we have people who have a real connection to the community, like Marie, the better off we're going to be. It should reflect the American people, and sadly, it doesn't as much as it should.
A lot of seniority is being lost with you leaving Congress, following Peter DeFazio, who left in 2022, Greg Walden, who left in 2021. Now Suzanne Bonamici will be the senior member of the congressional delegation. When she was elected in 2010, I think, she was the only woman on the Oregon delegation. Now we have 6 representatives, 5 of whom are women and Democrats. What advice do you have for them, including your successor, Dr. Maxine Dexter, who you talked about? Their advice from you for navigating this new Congress that you're happy to leave, you call it dysfunctional, and another Trump term?
Well, you may recall that for over a decade, I have given a personal letter that I hand deliver to every new member of Congress, Republican or Democrat alike, with what I think are some pretty common sense approaches in terms of putting family first, deal with your mental and physical well-being, take simple steps to be able to insulate yourself from the vagaries of this. We don't do a good enough job helping one another navigate it. It's pretty common sense in terms of things that make a difference for you and your family, and not get caught up in the crush of things in Congress. It can be debilitating and depressing if you don't manage it properly.
You have worked hard to make Portland a livable community. You've been called the Johnny Appleseed of livable communities. Portland really went through a rough patch. Where do you think Portland is right now? How's it doing?
Well, I think it is doing much better. We still have some spots in downtown Portland that demonstrate that we've got a long way to go. But in less than 2/3 of a mile from those spots, we have some of the strongest neighborhoods in America. You and I live in one. I think there's been a different attitude in terms of the relationship in local government. There's more cooperative effort. I can't say enough about the leadership of Governor Kotek. You know, there's no advantage for her being governor of Portland, and she made significant investments helping us here and promoting accountability. So I see the new city council one of hope. I think the new mayor is really an extraordinary fellow and did it right. I'm looking at things that are optimistic, and I hear people who visit now, they sense that it's different. I think we've turned the corner and on the way back.
Well, we'll talk more about that after the break. Congressman Blumenauer may be leaving Congress, but he's not leaving behind his passion for Portland, as you can tell. What's next for the man who's been described as a legend, who delivered for the people of Oregon? We're back after the break.
And I guess my last piece of advice that I leave to the people that are coming in the next Congress is to focus on things that bring people together rather than divides them. Look for ways to solve problems rather than create new ones.
Welcome back to Straight Talk. I'm Laurel Porter. That's Congressman Earl Blumenauer giving his final speech on the floor of the U.S. House earlier this month after serving there for 28 years. Thank you again for being here, Congressman. What an honor to have you here.
It's absolutely my pleasure.
So have you cleaned out your desk, left your office in D.C.?
Yep.
You're done?
Done.
Wow.
No more planes to D.C.
Are you going to miss that flight back and forth? I say sarcastically.
No.
But you're having a lot of soirees, a lot of parties.
It's been overwhelming. We've had receptions with a variety of people, everything from historic preservation to transportation. This week was the environmental community and large send-off parties. We're going to have one here in Portland. It's really overwhelming.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your future. And it's kind of like you're going back to the future. You're going back to where you started. Your first job after you graduated from Lewis and Clark College was assistant to the president at PSU for 7 years. Now you're going back to work for the president, Dr. Ann Cudd. What are you going to be doing?
Well, I would like to help Portland State be able to occupy a position, a stronger position than it recently. There used to be a greater connection with the community. Now, there are a whole host of reasons there have been some problems, but I think we have an opportunity to build on this. Portland State is 18% of the downtown. There are about 20,000 people a week who are on that campus. Some amazing programs dealing with engineering, education, urban studies. There's real strength there, and the relationship that the university has with local and regional government, I think, is a strength that we can develop further, and I'm looking forward to that.
How important do you think PSU is to the city's recovery?
Oh, it's absolutely essential. As I mentioned, when you're looking at 18% of the downtown, some of the most vibrant programs, what they're doing in the arts, music, behavioral health, the School of Education and Engineering. These are strengths for the city. These are economic activities that aren't going away, and it's training the next generation of leaders for our community. Portland State is essential to our being able to thrive and grow.
What kinds of initiatives do you imagine PSU working with the city on?
Well, we're doing something this weekend with the new city council, providing an opportunity to, I don't mean to, sort of a tutorial, helping them understand the potential. There's, with this whole new system of governance, and we don't really know, there isn't a model like it anywhere in the country. There's lots of very certified, smart people in Portland State who have experience in these areas, but we need to be able to fortify them, have resources for things they want to work on, and be able to make them as successful as possible. There's a dozen new city council members, a new mayor, a city administrator. There's a lot of horsepower there, and the more we learn from another and work together, the better off we're going to be.
You're going to be a fellow at the Institute of Metropolitan Studies, which is being revived after being sort of inactive since the pandemic. With your experience in state, local, and federal government, what role do you see yourself playing in that?
I think I can help connect people and resources. I've been involved with almost all the major issues, so I can be a resource for faculty and students, but also thinking about ways that we tie the pieces together. There are very few of them that I haven't been involved with in some fashion in the past, and I think being able to spotlight that, to strengthen those connections, to grow the programs, is something that will make a big difference for the university and for the city.
Now, you may in the future be on Straight Talk, but this is your last Straight Talk as a congressman. So what would you like to say to our viewers?
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to have these conversations. You've been pretty straightforward with Straight Talk, and I think these types of conversations are important for the community to feel connected. It's really hard in the era of internet and social media to have that sort of connection, and I think you've played a role in promoting that.
Well, Congressman, I have to tell you that as you start a new chapter in January, I am also starting a new chapter. It seems providential that you are my final guest, regularly scheduled guest on Straight Talk. And I just want to thank you as a guest for being a guest for 16 years, being a friend, and thank you for your public service to the people of the city of Portland, your district, and to the state of Oregon. It has been an honor to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for promoting the type of communication and understanding that's essential for citizens to do their job right, and Straight Talk did that.
Oh, thank you. It has been a real honor. Thank you, Congressman. And to our dear viewers, thank you for watching Straight Talk all these years. I wish you and your family a blessed holiday season and a happy, healthy new year. I will be seeing you around. Take care and God bless. And thanks again for watching Straight Talk here on KGW. Have a great week and a great holiday season.